All right. Hello, everyone. Tonight is the August the 3rd, Tuesday, August the 3rd in Dallas, or Wednesday, August the 4th in New Zealand or other parts of the world. This is Dallas Personal Robotics Group, Robot Builders Night Virtual. And we'll do the usual. We'll just walk around the table and show projects and ask questions, as we often have. My name's Carl, current president of the club. At some point in the middle, we'll have a discussion about the upcoming contest in late August. I've spoken with the host of the venue, and Steve, will most likely jump on at some point, I think, and we can talk about things then. But until then, let's just bounce around the table and see what kind of project progress we have or questions for the club. And with that, I would like to recognize Ray and ask Ray if he wants to start off with his Pirates of the Caribbean style IMU. Hopefully I didn't mischaracterize that for you.
No, that's probably about it.
Does that mean we'll be able to call you Captain Jack Sparrow?
Captain Jack, yeah.
Captain Jack Sparrow with his compass.
Yeah, put little pirate symbols on your compass.
I mean, with that one sensor, Ray, you have an entire theme you could build on.
Yeah.
You could take it to amazing lengths.
Okay, can you see my screen?
It's shared, looking good.
Okay. Okay, so this is the same sort of thing with the cheapest camera I think you can buy. It's an ESP32 cam, and somebody has done a lot of work to make this all look good. So this is the you just click on this button to get it started, for color detection. And so this is the original stream, and it's not terribly fast, but I think once you set it up, if you got rid of all of this stuff, it probably would be much faster. Anyway, this is the image mask. I'm trying to find colors that are white, and this little dot here is something that you can move around up and down. Let's see if I can get it. Yeah, okay. So you can position this pretty much where you want on the image to get whatever the color is that you want. And those colors show up here. It's just, this is red, green, blue. And so you can set these track bars to select that color. And it gives you back the centroid, which is this blue dot. Right here, XCM. So that's the X value, and this is the Y value. So you can, and there's a couple other buttons you can play around with here. One of them is showing the contour. So it highlights it in black of what you're actually seeing. And tracking, that's, just finding the centroid of all these white dots or white pixels. So this was the actual image that, it found. So you don't have to, buy a $50 camera. You could do it for a $10 camera and have, basically blob detection. So that was...
Ray, is that actually what's being displayed on your ESP cam? Is that the web server on the ESP cam?
Yeah. So this is, I don't know if you can see the address up here. That's the address that it shows up on. And it's, so all the images and everything are, transmitted through Wi-Fi. So it's pretty good for a little $10 board. Like I said, you don't have to buy an $85 OpenMV H7 or any of that stuff. And the frame rate is slow, but it's probably between 1 and 2 times a second. But I mean, these things aren't moving incredibly fast, because I don't think. So that's probably okay. And if you got once you got it set up, if you got rid of all this stuff, I'm sure it would go a lot faster. The other thing that I wanted to show.
Ray, did you say the processing is on the ESP CAM board itself?
Yes, it is. Yeah. It's using OpenCV.js, which is like a JavaScript version of OpenCV. And this was on Random Nerd Tutorials. He's done, well, I guess it's actually a couple. They've done a bunch of stuff for the, for this little camera board and ESP32s and the, the whatever it is, the 8266, and I don't know, he's just got a lot of stuff that's free. Anybody can use it. He sells material to support himself, and I was thinking of buying. He actually has a book on just projects that you can do with the ESP32 cam, which is that little sub $10 board that this is running on right now. So I thought it was pretty good. Just kind of shows what you can do. The other thing that I was playing with was GPS RTK, and I've got the individual modules working, and I've got it sending the RTCM correction data. But I don't have, you have to have a radio link between the two modules, a base station and a rover. And I set up one of the modules off my back porch, and it was like spot on. I mean, the previous module that I had used just looked at, it was GPS only, so it only looked at the American satellites, and it would show up all over the place. It would show up over here, which is, I don't know, that could be maybe 40 feet away from where it was supposed to be. But and these are the U-Blocks modules. I think these are the MP8s. Let's see. That's the one. Anyway, so very, very impressive. It gets, I don't know, like, I think it was looking at either 15 or 18 satellites, and it's the American, the Russian, Chinese, and two others that I don't even know what they are. And it's, like I said, it was pretty much spot on. It comes up very quickly. They're a little pricey though. They're I think like $225 per module. And I looked for like the kind of the way Kareem uses it, like an in-trip server somewhere, and there's nothing out here close to me, so I'd have to go with the base station and rover approach if I wanted to use it. So now I have to figure out how to if I can use LoRa radios. SparkFun had a warning saying that it was kind of on the edge of the throughput rate for LoRa, so it may not work. They actually used another radio, and it was just basically a radio link that was replacing a serial connection or serial link, so you could communicate between so the base station could tell or give the rover the correction data. So it was, I guess that was pretty impressive. I was impressed.
Hey, Ray, can you put those links to your module and also to your Random Nerd page?
Oh, okay. Sure.
That is cool.
Yeah, I think I found the Random Nerd link and put it in.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of good stuff. If you're interested in ESP32, see, he seems to do, or focus on those a lot. And I think he did a lot of the ESP8266 stuff when it came out. So anyway, so that's all I
Cool.
had.
All right, nice update. Yeah, whatever details you could share would be great. Thanks.
Okay.
This is cool. We have now Kareem, Ray, and Scott. Welcome. Good to see you on board. And
All right.
Steve.
I think I was next, right?
Yeah, Ted, why don't you go for it?
Okay. Let me add my window here. There we go. All right, I have a camera update also. I have this little OpenMV cam. And so I've got it tracking cones right there. Can you see the cone in the top?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And it's able to tell where it is on the left or the right or center. So I'm happy with that. And the one thing I discovered was the lab color space. So lab's pretty cool because it lets you, the L I think stands for lightness. So you can, with the OpenMV software, you can just give it a range and you can set the lightness range real high so that it doesn't really matter if it's light out or dark. It's just looking at the color part of the image, unlike RGB that, is affected by how light or dark the color is. It doesn't really care. So it seems to be quite effective. I've been able to test it indoors when it's fairly dark and outdoors with bright sunlight, and it works. So I'm real happy with that. So I did have a question. So my OpenMV, I think, is M7. I also have an M4. And I have an issue when I first plug it into the USB. It thinks it's a thumb drive, I guess, because it really is a thumb drive. I'm going to stop sharing. So I think it is really a thumb drive, but for some reason, once it connects as a drive, Windows doesn't want to let the IDE connect to it. So I have to do this little dance where I plug it in and quickly hit the connect button on the IDE to get it to connect. Anyone else have that problem?
Nope.
That's weird.
Ted?
Yeah.
First thing, I'm real impressed with the frame rates. That over 60, that's cool.
Yeah.
The second thing was I don't have that one. I have a Maxi bit. And on that one, which uses MicroPython 2, it has it's really a clone of, well, not a clone, but it's very similar to the one you have. And if you just wanted to pick up straight into a Python package, there's a file location. I think you have auto run or something like that you can set up. So Python will so when you connect it, it just runs Python, that script instead of the default script. And that might pass you through that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I might try that.
Yeah, I'd have to look up the details, but I know I used let me see here. Let me find the right.
Yeah, you can actually save whatever program you created to flash on the device.
Yeah, but there's a specific location you're supposed to go to, I believe, and
it's just an annoyance connecting because I can always just download the program to the board or stick in a flash card and do it that way. But it's just kind of annoying that for some reason I have to do this little dance and quickly connect to it, or the IDE won't connect.
mm-hmm.
But, the other thing I wanted to say is it seems to be working at a pretty good distance. I'm able to detect, up from like right in front of the sensor to out to 20 some feet. So it's a real good sensor for detecting traffic cones, at least. I haven't got hooked up to the robot yet, but that's the next step.
Yep.
So what are you going to use output wise? I guess you've got, like serial, I squared C.
Right. I was considering both of those, and I've used those in the past, but this time I think I'm going to keep it simple. I'm just going to have, I think I'll just use two digital I/O pins and set them for, left, right, both, or none if it doesn't see it.
Oh, okay. So
Up there.
you're not looking for like an X value to steer the platform?
Yeah, if I use serial or some other serial type interface, I could send over the actual X value and just tell it, where on the image the center is. But I don't know. Serial's kind of a pain sometimes, and then you get errors and stuff. So I'm just going to do a pin.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. If you do serial, it's only 3 wires. You just need, you don't need to receive into the camera. You just need to transmit out. And,
Yeah.
they've got examples of that. I've used that a lot. It works really well.
Are you using the stock lens on that?
Yeah, that's just the stock lens. I think I have a, let's see, I was using a smaller image size to make it run faster. That's how I got it up in the 60 frames per second. So it's, where is it? It's like 160 by 128.
Mm-hmm.
And the image is kind of distorted for, I think, that particular image size. There's several to choose from, but that one's a bit distorted. It's all kind of squished together, but it works.
Yep.
Nice progress. It's looking good.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. That's inspiring. That's cool.
That
All
is
right,
all I
let's-
had.
Cool. Okay. I think Pat, we had Pat, then Franklin, then Carl, then a bunch of others who've joined. So Pat, you had something, right?
I have not that much to report. I just spent the last couple hours working on a little ESP 8266. Excuse me, trying to get an e-stop button, emergency stop button, or kill switch going for the robot. So as a little transmitter.
Uh-huh.
And only after several hours of going over scripts and all sorts of things to find out that it isn't the script issue. There is nothing wrong with the programming. It's a firmware issue on the device. So I reverted back to an older firmware instead with Arduino from 3 point something to 2.42 on the ESP 8266, and I managed to connect right away. So that was one issue I found. The other one, I've been working on the little time of flight infrared sensors, and over with I2C, and got the one working no problem. It'll work. But when I try to change the address in Arduino, no luck at all getting it to work. Now I've done it in Python on a Raspberry Pi and it works fine. I can change the address and communicate it with it. But on the Arduino side, I cannot get the library to work whatsoever. So if I disable the statement where I should be changing the address, and it works, I can get a single sensor working. So I was looking at.
Murray, if you're talking, you're muted.
Thank you. Pat, are you in Python code or C++ code?
I was in Arduino C++, and I can get it to respond. I can read the values, but I can't change the address. In
Are
Python,
you sure that the constructor to the class doesn't actually allow you to pass in an I2C address?
with the sensor I'm using, I need to pull the reset pin low, and when it comes out of reset, I'm able to change it. So if I have multiple on there, I keep the one I'm not using reset. I enable one of them and change its address. Then I enable the second one and change its address. I got that from Doug, forwarded some videos to me last week. And I went through the videos to look at what they were doing. And there was a diode trick that that was mentioned in one of the videos. So I put a diode on the X shut pin and use that with the Arduino to try to disable it and make my change. But so far I've got no luck. So I've got a level shifter, and so I don't have 2.8 volts. So, but I can find it on the board. I can solder a jumper wire from 2.8 into my level shifter, and maybe try to see if that'll work instead of the diode. The problem, the diode, I might not have enough current to get the diode to work correctly. I'm not sure. So no luck at all. Like I say, in Python, as long as I'm not, I can, in Python, I was able to read it, and I believe I'm able to change the address without needing the X shut pin. But in the Arduino, I needed the X shut pin connected because there's more than one sensor. That's why. And so I didn't do it. And I wasn't sure about just using a standard GPIO on the Raspberry Pi to do it.
I don't know
I
that
hear
you
you,
could.
Doug.
I'm not sure that you
Mike.
could. Oh, go ahead, Doug.
My experience was that I had issues with them too, but I was able to get it to work. But what finally killed me was I didn't like the refresh rate. To me, it wasn't any better than an ultrasonic. And so for this contest, if I'm able to get my obstacle avoidance in place, then I'm going to be probably, I will for the cone, but I'm at real obstacle avoidance. I'm gonna depend on those Grove Rangers, those Seed Grove US ultrasonic Ranger sensors, and also the Pololu 4071s, Part 4071 sensors. Those are the ones that I'm planning on using for that type of situation. I don't know. I don't know if you can you get, are you running out of time on getting parts up there in Canada?
Yeah, I'm pretty much out of parts. Ted has shipped me a B&O 55,
Yeah.
and hopefully I get that in time so that I can get my pose as my robot is just sitting there at the start of the contest before my GPS kicks in.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what I'm looking at right now, just so I know which way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And my fallback is to try to use the ultrasonics. In the area I'm looking at, so one of the cones I was thinking, and I'm not sure where you're going to pick, but I'm thinking it might be behind some playground equipment. And
Well, since we have Steve here and he owns the land, you know, if he would be willing, I'd like for him to set the course. That way, everybody, surprise. Are you up to that, Steve? Or
You want me to pick where the course is going to be?
yeah, the first cone should be fairly easy, and the second cone should be kind of a pain in the butt.
So I guess water crossings, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
no creeks, no, no across the pond. But,
I would
yeah.
appreciate
no-
like a putting green.
No
The first one would be really nice.
Yeah, now I tell you what I found to think it out, and how I've been doing it for like Pat's location. I actually picked some waypoints. Is I get it on Google Map, get your property on Google Map, look at it. That way you can measure between waypoints, and you can tell that you're 100 yards without you going out there with a measuring stick and doing a whole bunch of back and forth. It's pretty easy to do on the overhaul, and you'll know your land better than Google Maps, so you can set it up. You know what I'm trying to say. But that
I can
really,
definitely set it up for you.
yeah, okay. So the Dallas course, Steve will take care of and let us know. Thank you,
There'll be
Steve.
a lot of sugar bites and mosquito bites.
Right, I'll keep it mowed down so that the grass will be short, but the ground is bumpy and there will be a tree in the way,
At least a tree.
at least a
And
tree.
then there's that old well. Okay, so anyway, but Pat, I've actually mapped yours out, and so on the day of the day, whenever I'll probably try to get you early because you're in our same time zone though, aren't you?
No, I'm an hour earlier than you. So
Oh,
it's,
you're Eastern.
it's 9 o'clock here now.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I'll get it to you an hour early. How's that? So
That's,
that
I'm fine with your time frame as well. That's all right.
Okay, all right. Okay, then we'll do it that way.
I don't want an
Okay.
advantage.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything from Donna, Carl. So anyway,
I'll make a note.
Hey Doug, do you know when you're gonna post those waypoints?
it'll be on the Saturday. That's what we
Oh.
just did. Okay, so Steve will pick out the waypoints and he can do it anytime he wants to.
Okay.
And then when we get there, he'll just give them to us. Now, I don't know, Scott, there's a new one that you might be interested in. All right, there's a new level. Okay.
Yeah, I read the and that's what I was gonna do. I was just gonna program in the waypoints, whatever Steve picks out.
Yeah,
And basically run it off, just set it on the ground and run it
yeah,
without any measurement or course activity or whatever. So
okay. Now that's the top level there. And I know I'm not going to be ready for that sort of stuff. In fact, I'll be ready. I want to get my mug for sure. That's my main thing.
What wasn't the top level the one with the Dobermans?
No, the top level is you get 3 waypoints. That's it. You don't walk the course. You don't do diddly. You just get 3 waypoints, and your robot's totally autonomous.
So no
Not
dogs.
autonomous. No dog. Well, I don't know. Steve, you got some dogs? You're muted. I think no,
Doug has a dog.
no, not anymore.
No, the other Doug.
Oh,
He's
okay.
got a robot hating dog. We could let that go on the course.
The ultimate obstacle.
Yeah.
Attack dog.
Small attack dog.
Yeah, well, he'd probably have fun with my robot, but I don't know. Scott's robot with that electric field that he has that shoots out from it, I don't know. Might discourage him.
So I have a question. For those of us who will be lucky for our robot to get to the first cone, I know there's the challenge cone and then the home cone, but would it be okay if we just programmed it to stop at the first cone?
That's fine. And
Okay.
by the way, you can, one possible way you could do it. Okay, now something I'm not saying, but something you can look at. You can't go back to the home cone until you've gone to one of the other cones, but you can go from your home cone to the target cone, which is the easy one, and back to the home cone. And if you perform everything you need, that's 6 points.
Okay.
And if you wanted to, you could come back to that. And if you had time left over, you could try to go to the challenge cone. Okay, so instead of going from starting line to target to challenge to home, you could go from starting line to target to home to challenge. That's another possibility.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you can recognize the cone and you can stop at it, and if you're not going for the highest level, you can probably map waypoints around obstacles. Now, that's not a sure thing, by the way. That is not, I can tell you, I've tried that, and it's not a sure thing, but, it in theory could be done.
Yeah, no, I've been doing this long enough to know how hard that is.
Mhm.
You can do that if you can run the robot on the course like 15 times before you start, but if you have to start the first time on the course with your robot, that's a bit sketchy.
Yeah. I mean, if there's obviously like, if you see there's a big hole in the ground and it's not really on the path, but it's kind of close to the path and you might want to go around it.
Yeah.
You could waypoint around that. We had the last one I was in, there wasn't a stream, but there was the bottom of the hill which collected water. So it was like this line of mush at the bottom. And I put a waypoint to go as far to the edge of that as I could. You know, I could, because I knew if I tried to run through it, it was not going to work. But
I just didn't want to have to clean my robot off, so I went around it.
yeah, that was an unexpected thing because we didn't plan that. It just happened. That's the way it is out there.
Okay, so guys, why don't we, if I could suggest, why don't we let Franklin give his update, and then we can have we seem to have a pretty good quorum. After that, we can do a good discussion on the on logistics. We probably have enough for that. So Franklin, are you good to go? Is this? And you got to put your microphone on, dude. Oh, your microphone's still not working. It was working
Hi.
earlier.
Hi.
There we go. Hi.
Hi.
And as you all remember, last week, Franklin was showing us his code, which wasn't working at the time, and he asked for some help, and we gave him some help. So I think now we've got some results to show, some progress.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna go through all of my programs, and then they also look clean, so they don't look like big mess. So the first one is the line sensor. So if I put the robot on the floor and wait, I need to switch my camera.
Okay, which can? There you go. That's the right camera.
Okay, and then the button that I have to do the line sensor is the C button, which is here, is line sensor. You can probably see right here is the C. So if I go, and then I also use the blocks, so I can have it more organized. So this is the code for so I can detect the white lines, but then I can also change these to black so that it will detect the black lines. So if I press the C button, I press C, both of the sensors work with the top LEDs. And then if I press the set button, which is this button right here, it will stop. And then the next one is that's not far enough off to the right. The next one is the line follower one. I got help, and then it works now. So the one that does line follower is this one. So it does if the button is pressed is back with all the other stuff, and then this is repeat until set pressed, and then so if the right side is black, move forward for 0.003 seconds, and then the same thing but white for back. And then, so if I come on. So I press the D button. Come on. I press the D button on here. Right now it just cuts through the circle, but whenever it sees that the right side senses something white, it will move to the left. And then when I press set, it stops. And then if I go to the next one is well, drive buttons. So now I can use the buttons to just drive it. Those are these. So if the up button is pressed, repeat until the up button is not pressed. And I can change the speed that it goes at, and I made them 1,000%, but 100% to 1,000% does not make a difference. So, and then the last one is okay. Well, it's outreached the limit, so I'm gonna share my screen. Here. So, the last one that is object avoiding is this one. So the if is pressed is back with the other stuff. So repeat until set is pressed. So this is the repeat until. So it's gonna keep going forward for 50% power until until the distance is smaller than 15. And then I might as well change this back to 15. Or I could make it lower. And then when it does, it's going to turn right for 0.8 seconds. But when I put this, and then I got another one of these and put this here and move this to right, the problem was that it would keep going until it was bigger than 15. And when it's bigger than 15, then it will run into the wall right after it turns, because it won't turn for long enough, because when it gets to after 15, that's not turned around enough for it to not just run into the wall. And since they go only straight forward, it wouldn't realize that it has to turn more. So, and then, wait, is it uploading? I can't tell. But I'm just gonna show you with me dragging it, what would happen. So it comes to the wall, and then it sees the wall at 15 centimeters. Then it turns until it's bigger than 15 centimeters. Then it just runs into the wall. That's what happens when I do it with this at 50% power. But now when I do the thing with just move for 0.8 seconds, it turns the right amount so that it won't run into the wall. But that also means that I can only stop it when it's not turning. And if I press E, you gotta be kidding me.
So that was one of the things we learned this last week, was talking about blocking code.
Yeah, and then I just realized the thing that it did a few seconds ago when it was just uploading is that it took everything off. So now there's nothing on the bot, so I can't do anything. So now I have to upload this again. But I don't upload it because it won't turn, so I need to add this in real quick. So 0.8 and then upload it.
Well, I'm pretty impressed. Your robot does more than my robot does.
And then I'm gonna show you right when this thing finishes. It takes forever. It didn't used to take this long, but now it does take this long, which is weird.
Franklin, this is what happens to each one of us when we try and compile and program and on the meeting. That's just how it is.
Okay.
And you
So
got your
now-
screen shared. You might want to stop sharing your screen so we can see your camera.
Oh, here. There. Ah! That was loud. Okay, so now, the thing, so if I put it right here, when it's gonna run into the wall and I press the E button, it sees,
Uh-oh. Demo effect. Hey, Franklin, it's okay, dude. It's all right. Tell you what, I think you got some serious applause here for what you've done in the last week. That's a lot of progress. So, so what do you say we go work on it some more in the next week and see what you can do next time?
okay,
But that's pretty good. That's pretty awesome, eh?
okay.
And thanks for the demo of Scratch. That's pretty handy to see. Cool. Okay. All right. So that was our youngest visitor of the club here. So shall we spend a little bit of time, since we seem to have a quorum, middle of the meeting, and then talk about logistics for the August contest? I think we counted up some 6 to 10 different competitors in Dallas. So somehow we got to get our arms wrapped around that at the very least. I don't know, Doug, are you there, Doug P? Are we going to send out a registration page, or shall I just do a Google form? Doug P, we lost Doug P. Okay.
He's there, he's on mute. Yeah, so I would like to know the number of contestants and then the number of kind of expected guests. If we have a ballpark figure there, that would be good. Make sure we've got enough like seating.
Yep. And Doug's muted.
Yeah. The other questions I have are table requirements and power requirements. So I know in the past contests, guys have shown up with laptops and their robots and a lot of parts and be kind of programming and going at it during the contest between runs. So if you guys tell me kind of how much space is needed for the pits, where they're in there working on stuff, and where power needs to be, that would be good because I can get that all set up. I do have some couple outdoor tables already, and then I've got kind of some of the portable camp tables that I can pull out. I don't have a lot of chairs, so if you want a lawn chair, I would say bring one of your fold out lawn chairs. If you're a competitor or if you got guests that want a seat, want a guaranteed seat, you might want to bring your own. I have one canopy for shade. Otherwise, we have a covered patio. And so I don't know if anyone wants to bring an extra canopy or two for shade purposes. That would be fine too.
On that, let us poll the people, because there's probably going to be spectators too, Steve. And so we want to open it up to the club and make sure we get everybody, because we haven't put your name out there. I mean, we haven't put an address or anything, so nobody knows where you live. So so we'll poll people and find out who's going to come, and then just send them an email with your address. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Hey, John, I know you've got an extra cover.
Are you talking to me?
I
Yes.
should, yeah, if you could bring that, that would probably
Yeah,
be
well, I
nice.
have one. I may have two. I'll have to I definitely have one because I have the one I used in the blacksmith thing the other
Yeah.
weekend.
But we can handle these details offline. I just, but,
And I do have
Yeah.
like two 2x4 tables,
mhm,
and I have like 3 folding chairs, I think, give or
Yeah.
take. So I can bring that all. That's no
and
problem.
power lines. So
Oh,
Steve,
yes, I
so
have some
Steve, what we'll
cores.
probably do is kind of like daisy chain them, put that, a lot of power lines.
Yeah,
From
I've
some
got a
out-
bunch of outdoor outlets, so and I've got a few long power cords
yeah,
with
I've got a few long power cords too.
yeah, multiple ends and that kind of thing. So I think that with what John normally brings and what I have, probably we'll have enough. But
I would
okay,
suspect so because yeah, I have several cores and yeah, because of the camper and that. So I think as long as we don't go over 150 feet, give or take,
yeah,
I should have more than enough. You do have a couple outlets though you're sending, right, Steve?
I have several outlets outside. Yeah.
Okay, that'll work.
That's great.
Do we want to do anything special for Wi-Fi coverage to extend it anywhere? How much Wi-Fi? You guys bringing your own Wi-Fi to
It'd be
communicate with
nice.
your laptop things?
Yeah, I'm thinking that most of us probably, I'll tell you where I think people are going to want Wi-Fi is if you look at Google Maps. Okay. I know at least that's what I'll be wanting. So, just a normal, if you have, does your Wi-Fi extend out to your backyard?
Yeah, a little bit. Not
Okay.
terribly far, but yeah, far enough that you can
Yeah, that's probably
get it.
good.
Otherwise,
That's probably
cell
good
phone.
enough. That's probably good
Yeah.
enough. So you might want to set up, what is it, they call it, a guest server or whatever.
Yeah, I've got a guest network that you
Yeah.
guys can connect to.
Okay.
Does it get pretty
all right.
well into the by the covered area, Steve? Do you have good
It
Wi-Fi?
gets into the covered area just fine. Yeah.
Okay, nice, solid. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What
I
about
actually
the
have a hotspot out there.
and
Okay.
along the walkway, I guess, along that walkway,
The what, John?
the walkway by the kitchen area. I have
Yeah.
that shade I can bring, so we'll probably put it
Yeah.
up over there.
Mhm.
Are we? Can we? Go ahead.
Besides all that, the other question I had was, what do you guys want to do for food? Was this also going to be the annual picnic
Pretty
event?
much. Yeah.
Did you want me
Yeah.
to get or cater something, or order a lot of pizzas, or?
Whatever's easiest for you, Steve.
That would be the simple
Mhm.
answer.
I mean, the club's going to cover it. So, I mean, just whatever's easy for you. If you want to make hot hamburgers like you did last time, that's great. If you want to do pizza, that's great. I mean, whatever.
Is
Okay.
is catering easier than? I guess catering would be easier than like a potluck, wouldn't it? Everybody bringing something, but
Yeah, everybody's going to be so frazzled, Carl.
with robots anyhow.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and I think I don't want to spend a bunch of time cooking if we got the contest going on. So
Right.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
exactly. Catering's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I think I might just get some pizza and that kind of thing.
I think the pizza route sounds good to me.
Chips and snacks and refreshment drinks or whatever. Yeah.
Bottled water, soda, that sort of stuff.
Mhm. Okay, so I guess if you guys can kind of nail down a good estimate of total guests, then the only other thing is what do you guys want to do as a club, as mask mandates or not mask mandates, or everyone walking around with
Yeah.
Clorox
Well-
wipes? I don't know. What are you guys planning on doing there for avoiding the virus?
You know, if it weren't for the Delta, I would say that, you know, anybody who was, what they call it, vaccinated wouldn't need them. But according to what they're saying now, everybody
Yeah.
everybody ought to probably at least attempt to wear a mask as much as they can, you know.
Yeah.
Unless your governor have it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, I
Certainly,
mean, if
should
you
we
don't have a
avoid the
huge
inside
moral,
coop?
yeah.
I would say if we're indoors, definitely masks. Outdoors, if you're further than 6 feet apart, while you're doing that, then no. If you're closer than 6 feet, then yeah.
Yeah, I really
I
think, you
mean,
know,
I don't mind wearing the mask. I have several.
Yeah.
I've been vaccinated, so I would lean for, yeah, more toward the mask than not, just because seemingly it is more
Yeah.
contagious.
My wife and I are both vaccinated, so
So
I'm kind of open to whatever you guys want to do to feel safe.
all right. I mean, I don't know, you know, I know I'm vaccinated, but, you know, I don't know about everybody else that's going to be running.
well,
And so,
I mean, the main thing is if you're, you were running fever, you're coughing, that don't be next to the person type thing.
Well, and
so
you still need to be careful because
Oh,
even
yeah.
vaccinated,
I
my
know.
brother-in-law and his wife were both vaccinated, but one of them still managed to catch COVID from their son. At
Well, you can get
daycare.
a mild version of it, and you have, effectively, you have 10 people. In theory, 8 of them would be safe, and 2 could get it out of a group of 10. That's sort of the ratio. So yeah, you're right, Carl. That just having a vaccine alone is not the solution right now.
yeah, I would say definitely anybody in the house is, you know, when you're using the restroom or something, we got to have a restroom, Steve.
Yeah.
In the house, let's say masks.
Restroom, isn't there going to be like a tree there or something? Isn't that all the restroom you need? That kind of thing? Would you
There's a
say?
few restrooms out back, yeah.
Yeah.
That was that hole you were talking about, Doug.
But I'd say in the house, definitely masks.
You really don't want your
Outdoors, you
robot
know,
falling in that hole.
we'll see. I guess we have to play it by ear, I guess. You know, if everybody's vaccinated, I'd feel less worried about it.
Yeah.
But,
Yep.
you know, we won't know that.
I didn't.
What was the times that you want everyone to arrive?
If you look on the calendar, I'm going to try and adhere to that as much as possible. There's a timeline on the webpage. If you go to the webpage and you go to competitions, I think you can just click on the header, and it should take you to the Roborama 2021 page. And there's a little timeline there.
Gotcha.
More of a morning thing, or is it going to
Well, yeah.
9 o'clock, judges have course layout. 10:30, robots can be weighed and checked for safety switch compliance. Maybe test runs in practice area. 11:45, lunch and socializing. 12:30, start a competition. Ending around 3:30 or 5. And somewhere in there, I think there's still some expectation for, well, we definitely have Pat in Canada, so we'll need to think a little bit about how to do the remote participant part, right?
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. So
Yeah.
Steve, this is something that's a little different. Is there a way for you, can we run like a Roku or a Google whatever to a monitor that's been set out on your covered porch?
A Roku?
Anything, you know,
Well,
that would.
I mean, you have a screen you have a good sized screen on your covered porch, right, Steve?
Yeah, there's a big TV out there.
Okay,
And we can cast. So we're hoping that we'll be able to cast remote participants to it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Remote from Dallas.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So that'll be the assumption then is that the covered patio will be the kind of place where if you want to mingle with people not in Dallas or remote, that's where we'll mingle. Is the
Yeah.
assumption.
So they're
Yeah,
going to be
so-
running the robot from their own place and just
Yes.
broadcasting it to us. Okay.
So my intention is to, because it's a remote location, is to record some video and then come back home and upload it.
Oh, that's fine, Pat. If you can do it on your phone, if you have cell service, that'd be fine too. If you do, definitely join us. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Don't, you saw the schedule. Join us and make sure you're there so that you can, when you're not running your robot, obviously, you can enjoy camaraderie.
Definitely. So what I'll probably do is, because I won't need to be there all day at the location. So I'll probably, once I have a layout for the course, I'll have to go and lay it out and do my competition essentially at the location. But before and after, I plan on joining from home.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you can get it on your phone, you might want to try to do one live just for the heck of it. But whatever works,
Yeah, I may try that. It depends on data, because I may need my data later this month.
Oh, okay.
And if with video, it doesn't take long to go through data.
No, it doesn't.
That's why I'd rather do it from home on Wi-Fi.
Makes sense. I got you.
This week's going to
Okay.
be busy. I've got lots of practicing in the backyard. There's a little park behind my house, and that's where I'm doing my testing, is back there.
Yeah, you're lucky. I don't have any real convenient place besides my backyard, which is real small.
Oh, I've got about 150 feet length behind my house.
That's cool.
150, almost 200. So it's a little small for competition, but it's perfectly good for testing.
Yeah, I see. I know Ted's got the same situation. He's got a big area in the backyard.
Western Colorado, right?
Cool. Okay. Do we have any other things to think about at this point for 21st of August, Robo Columbus? No. Sounds good.
Okay. So Steve, just this, I'll try to send out a message this week and also try to address your concerns and see if you can think of anything, just send me a note.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Hey, my wife and I are working at a food bank now, and we have tons of sanitizer. Should I bring some of that?
Yeah, what I would
Yeah.
really, what I was thinking, one thing that might also be worthwhile would maybe is a box of masks or something, but
Yeah, we have those as well. From the food bank.
Yeah.
I could bring them if you want.
yeah, that'd be good. That way, if anybody got there and then decided, oh my, I didn't bring my mask, we could give them some.
Hey, Doug, am I on your mailing list?
Ted, have you joined the DPRG list? Do you ever
No.
get? Okay, that's the best way to do it.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay, I mean, have you ever gotten an email from me?
No, so I'm not.
Okay, all
I'll
right.
do that.
Okay, I don't want to give my email out here on the thing, but if you can get on the DPRG list, which is free and anybody can join, we'll send a message, make sure I have your email, because I'll probably send to contestants specifically more information than I might just broadcast to the list. Like, for example, Steve's address, that won't go out to everybody. That'll go only to the people that have expressed interest in going.
Okay, cool. All right. We can come back if there's more on that. So moving along, so I can give an update on something, but then think about who wants to give an update after me. Okay, I hear Doug D. Good. And then whoever after that. So if you could pin my camera, my view, I'll show you progress. So Raj and I are working together on calling this duct tape and baling wire, since it's kind of a crude thing based on an RC chassis. Thanks to David Anderson. I got the RC chassis from his son, basically. And this is now after adding a heading loop and getting it some basic tuning. So the wheels don't do very well in grass unless it's short, but and there won't be any obstacle avoidance. So what we're planning to do, Raj and I, is to just make it to the first cone and then if possible back. So the idea was to sit it down with just an IMU, aim it and have it go straight to the first cone, and then using computer vision, get close to the cone, maybe touch it, and then turn around and go back. So this is showing the heading loop, which started to work this last weekend. And so basically I set the direction forward and then kicked it sideways. And now just with the control, tell it to go forward. And it said, okay, we'll go straight. And then it get that far out. So we'll reset the heading to come backwards, because it doesn't do, it likes to have the heading reset to come backwards. So bump, bumpity bump. I'm pretty pleased with that. That ought to make it pretty well from one end to the other, driving straight. But you might say, well, Carl, what happens if Steve is evil and he makes us go on an incline? Well, so I thought I'd try that out. So here on the curb near my house, we'll just set it out here. Can it drive? Yes, it can drive straight, even if there's a bit of an angle on the side. Now what happens is then at this point, either I loses calibration or I'm driving too quickly. The loop is really sensitive to speed, so it needs like adaptive gain parameters based on how fast it's going. But if we keep it slow to make the computer vision happy, I think it'll drive pretty straight.
So, Carl, are you going to put a GPS on it?
Nope, no GPS.
Okay.
We're going to know where the first cone is. We're going to aim it towards the first cone and then say, good luck, live long and prosper. Hope you can catch it in the camera when you get close.
So are you using optical flow?
No, there's no camera on this yet. So Raj has an Open HV H7 Plus, and I have yet to make the foam board that's going to hold the camera. And but he's got a vision algorithm not unlike what Ted was showing. And although we're planning to have a Boolean flag, can he see the cone or not? And then a kind of an analog value, left or right. And that we'll work on that integration Thursday night, hopefully. So basically that's my update. Better than nothing this week.
Cool. Yeah.
So I'm confused. How are you guiding that? With an IMU?
That's it. Just a BNO 055.
Okay.
Before it started moving, I clicked the button which would set the heading.
Yep.
And then once the heading was set, I kicked it sideways so it would have some noise at the start. And that's why when it started to move, it just headed straight in the direction it was initially set for.
So are you using just the gyro and the accelerometers then?
No, currently it's in full 3-sensor fusion mode. Now, whether we keep it that way or not, I don't know. But at the moment, it's full fusion mode. Why? Because I'm lazy and it seems to work, and I like having a absolute value for heading is what it spits out.
Mm-hmm.
And I did find, I messed around with the calibration routine this weekend also. Previously, like I had used the Adafruit library to write to EEPROM, but the Adafruit library was written so that it would just, you turn it on, and then the moment it gets a single fusion calibration positive, it stores those values. And what I said was, screw that. I want to see like 50 in a row or 500 in a row. So and I mean, I don't want any dropouts in the calibration that it gets. So I changed that library so that it doesn't write to EEPROM until it gets quite a number of consecutive calibration values. And I figure, and if I'm moving it around the whole time, hopefully those calibration values will be pretty well centered.
Effectively, you're debouncing that, right? That's what you're effectively doing on that. You know, dumping all until you get like 1,000 of these things, good ones, right? You're kind of
Well,
debouncing all the calibration.
I look at it this way. So I look at it that there's a bunch of variables that define the calibration parameters, right? And then there's 3 sensors. And that means there's probably this hyperspace, this n-dimensional space that has a pretty big volume of where it says, yeah, within that volume, we'll call it calibrated. And what I figure is that I would much rather have the calibration value be in the set of values that means calibration. I would rather have that be in the middle of this big volume than right on the edge. So that's why I want to see a whole bunch of consecutive calibration values, because I think that means that the set of calibration values I store will tend to be in the middle of this large n-dimensional calibration space. Call it debouncing or what you will, but that's
Yeah, I got you.
my imaginary visualization of it.
Visionization, we're making a new word. Awesome. We got a new car world. Fantastic.
Coined. And how do you make visualization? It's with visionoscopy. So we'll visionate that.
Well,
All right.
visionography, I thought that was a medical procedure you didn't really want to have, but that's
That too. The prep will get you. So in terms of visionoscopy, should we move along then? So Doug D, you had something, I think?
Let me come off of mute. I've been having a lot of trouble with maneuvering my telepresence robot because of these continuous movement things that Parallax got me. And, you know, I'm just frustrated with them. They keep having to be reset and tweaked. And I tried it just to see what it would be like. And now I'm done trying it. And I'm going to direct DC motors. I bought a DC motor, which I'm hoping is not going to be too fast. Attached it to the wheels. So that's going to replace my continuous rotation servos. And another thing that I came up with is I was going to use my handy L298 in H-bridge, which I've used on all of my projects so far. But I found, let me figure out if I can do this. Oops, not that. I'm going to present my screen for just a minute.
Hidden treasure, huh?
And I found this TB6612 H-bridge, which has MOSFETs, which means that it doesn't drop as much power. And it's got this, I've got a video here from the DroneBot workshop I'll put into the chat. But I'm thinking I'm going to use that instead of the H-bridge that I was using, just to see how it works. And
yeah, they work pretty good. I've used them a lot.
Oh, good. I was hoping they would, but it's interesting. The H-bridge is this big, and that other thing is teeny tiny.
Yeah,
and doesn't drain the battery as fast, and supposedly provides more energy to the motors. So I'm thinking win-win-win here. I'm going to try it and see how it works out. And so hopefully, now that I've gotten past my injuries enough to get back to work again, I will be able to make some progress on this darn telepresence robot. I've got to get it drivable before it's too late. And that's all I have.
Yeah, that L298, it might be a 30-year-old part by now. It's an older part for sure.
Yeah.
So
I got it in my first kit, and so I've always just used it because I was used to it. But I'm ready to move up to doing a little bit more fancy stuff. I might even throw in a buck converter and all kinds of words that I'm learning. Make the power a little better than just plugging the batteries in.
Cool. Looking good. Looking good. All right.
Carl, real quick. I'm gonna
Sure.
go ahead and drop off. So if you guys have any other logistics things or questions for me, just let me know. You know how to get a hold of me. I will give you guys a sneak peek at what I put the course at, and there's just not enough information to really know anything other than what's in that image. So I didn't include any GPS points yet.
No.
Steve, did you mean to share the URL for this meetup?
Oh, no, I sure didn't. Hang on. Sorry.
That's okay. Cool. All right.
There you go.
Today in the workshop, we'll be working with an improved.
Cool. Okay, so that's a rough approximate location.
It's a rough idea of what you'll be dealing with. There are some little inclines, hills, not too terrible, but they're there, and some trees and some dips. So you just
Nice.
won't know where they're all at until you get out here and see it.
And will we know which one's the first until we get there?
You won't know that either.
Or? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Sneak peek. Well, thank you very much, Steve. We really appreciate it. We will definitely be in touch as we
Okay.
get closer. For the word it's worth, by the way, I'll be able to help some, but I'm actually attending a wedding out of town for my daughter next weekend, so on the 14th. So I'm going to be not the most helpful on that weekend, probably, but hopefully there'll be enough other people to help get everything coordinated. I'll do what I
Yeah,
can.
no problem. Shouldn't be too hard to get going day of. So
Yeah.
So do we need to get the rigger to set up, Steve, or do you need help on that?
no, I'll get the house ready for you guys.
Okay.
What we need. Yeah, tables out and that kind of stuff. That's all easy stuff for me.
We get any extra points for driving into the lake?
Oh well,
There
you'll
are
get
some
extra
different
points if your robot survives driving in the lake. That's for
I was
sure.
going to say driving in, or is the extra points for driving out?
Driving out.
That's a long shot.
You might get sympathy points for driving in.
My GPS robots have an affinity for water.
Nice. You take them to the beach, they're practiced.
Yeah. It's a lot of water there.
Well, cool. Well, thanks a bunch, Steve. Appreciate. Thanks for jumping on tonight too. So save your brain and avoid some screen time now. Have a good evening.
All right, you guys too. Have a good call. See ya.
All righty. So this is cool coming together. All right. So who else has some stuff to show or ask?
I can always whine.
Harold, what's on your mind?
Well, I'm going to do the same thing you're doing as far as a plan goes. I got some image stuff going on. We saw that last week. I had a really cool thing happen last night on my stream. I'm able to get the image data, but I can't pass it into my Docker container because it's whining that I've got an invalid data or some noise like that. And so apparently somebody got on my stream that knew some Python, and he was helping me work through a bunch of stuff. And we got to the point where what I found, this is, I just want to, can I punch, something cute and small, but not really hurt it? Because I get this image message from Ross, and it says this image has an array of unsigned integers that are bytes, 8-bit integers, right? And so I'm like, cool, I got an array of those. It looks like I've got a RGB values coming in 0 to 255. Cool, I'm good with that. Shove that into into a body of a URL thing and have it just come back with a JSON. Of course, that doesn't work that simple, because it seems that for the Python world, as opposed to the C++ world, that when the array of integers comes across, Python translates that into one big string. So I've got this big string that's an image, and now I've got to convert that string into an array of integers, and then that kind of thing, and hopefully it all passes through, and the image will be recognized as a JPEG image when it gets over to the recognizer. So I found this cool little thing. It says CV bridge to convert a ROS image into a CV2 image, and there's a path-through mode that will just do all the right stuff and give me an array of bytes to send into the thing. Well, I spent the last, what time is it? 8:50? Hour and a half trying to figure out how to install the damn thing. So it came back to it, and I'm like, all I really need to do is lop off the square brackets, and then I've got an array of I got one big string with comma separated, and I should be able to do a comma separated thing. So now I've got an array of strings that represent integers, and then I should be able to convert those string numbers into an integer that gets me my bytes. And if everything is okay, ship all of that mess over, because JPEGs and whatnot have a leading bit pattern that says, "Hello, I'm a JPEG." So hopefully that fixes that. So that's what I'm in the process of doing now. And I did make some pretty good process, about ROS nodes and that kind of stuff. But it's like every time I turn around, I think I'm about to get close and go do something, and then there's something that says, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, no, 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 no. You have not sacrificed enough to the robot working gods of the thing, and so you must bleed a little more, so to speak, mentally, figuratively, and all that kind of stuff." So I'm whining. I know I'm whining. The robot's going to be good. I have a switch for the motor already on my robot, and I'm just going to tape a long line to it, so you can kill the motors if you like for the switch. But this robot ain't hurt nobody, and two, ain't outrunning nobody. I mean, I could be going backwards and outrun this thing, so it's not really fast, but I will comply with all the laws. So all the rules, it will have a line on it and that kind of stuff. So, and I'm still trying to work in my head all that I need, because you folks brought up a lot of stuff: electricity, internet, all the other kind of things, and I think I'm going to be pretty good, but but as far as controlling everything and talking to it, and that kind of stuff, it's all right. So yeah, it's me whining. That's about all the whine I got. I mean, I can go on and on and on, but I don't think it's going to do. I think I'm done with that. But I didn't, like I say, it was a really cool thing on my stream last night when I was working on this. I had 6 people come by that were all chiming in, going, "Hey, why don't you try this? Why don't you try this? How do we solve this?" Trying to help me solve the thing. And I thought that was really cool. That didn't happen very often.
See that? If you weren't beating your head against the wall, you wouldn't be trying anything. You wouldn't be getting the help like that. So
I agree, and I think hopefully part of the appeal of my stream and stuff is me showing that everybody beats your head in the wall, but we can figure it out. Hopefully that's coming across. Hopefully that's coming across.
Very nice. Okay, cool. I see John's raised a hand. Do you want to go next, John?
Oh yeah.
Sure, I got a tiny bit of progress to show here.
Cool.
Let me present. Let me get the right screen this time.
Yeah, Jim, that Jim F that just posted a thing, that's one of the persons that was watching me last night, and he's helped me tremendously in a lot of ways, both doing some image manipulation for me and cheering me on when I'm like, "Dude, I'm really," goes, "Well, try this one thing," and I try this one thing, and I'm like, "Oh, how about this?" And something would work, and he's helping me tremendously. He's one of my streamers.
Awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Let's get the right screen here. Yeah, I put a low pass filter in my motor controller. I've been playing with shutting the motor down when it's stalled so it doesn't break itself. And the trace you see right here is essentially a representation of the yellow curve you see here is starting the motor up, and you can see the surge current when it first starts. And the red signal here is one of the encoder outputs. So you can see the encoder speeding up the motor. The bottom line is just how often I'm interrupting to sample the output there. So you can see that if the motor doesn't stall, I ignore the first 16 measurements to allow it to drop below this line here, which is the current limit. So I'm ignoring this spike on the current on startup, and the motor just, sullies on. In the next plot here, what I did was I did the same thing, but now later in the curve, the motor actually stalls out because I put some resistance here, and now I've shrunk it so you can see where it shut down. Went right up to the current limit and then shut off. So I've been playing with some other, basically I did that by putting the resistance on it with my hand, but that's not enough. I want the thing to be almost completely stopped. So I put some vice grips on the end of it to allow it to keep it from turning at all, or at least almost not turning at all. And this is what I got here. It didn't even drop below the current limit. And here's the point at which it averaged these measurements out and decided, we need to shut it down. So, whoops, let's see. Actually, this is the one with got the vice on there. You can see that the encoder is not turning anywhere near as fast, but it did turn some. So if I don't put quite as much pressure on it, you see the encoder actually runs for quite a bit. The motor turns for quite a bit before it eventually comes to a stop. So anyway, that's all. I'm still playing with it, still trying to figure out the best, the most optimum solution for detecting a stall and shutting the motor down in time.
So your filter, was it a digital filter, or did you just turn a capacitor like that?
The filter, well, there's essentially two filters. One is there's a low pass filter that I have coming out of the current measuring into the PIC, because I get a lot of noise from the motor current. Of course, it's PWM, so it's going to be generating all sorts of noise. The filter in the software is essentially a sliding window average on the measured current. So once the average current goes up above this limit here, then I shut it down. And that is what was it that Doug referred to it last week? An FIR filter, finite impulse response filter. That's what a sliding window is. It's essentially a simple FIR filter. So that's it. That's all I had.
Cool.
Now that's progress. Can't complain about that. It's looking pretty robust, actually. You haven't fried any motors or controllers in the process, have you?
Not yet, but I'm also not running it at full PWM speed either.
Okay.
So this is proof of concept.
Yeah. Well, nice. Way to go. All right. Anybody else? Who else has something to show or a question to ask? Oh, we're quiet tonight. So, all right. Well, I guess just another show of hands. So for August, raise your hand if you're planning to run a robot, at least in some fashion or other. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's what I thought. 7. Yeah, we'll get 8 or 10. And then how many were coming to just observe but not actually run anything? So plus a couple more after that. Okay.
Oh, come on, Ray. I was just bragging on you. I said this cat named Ray is going to have a 50-pound robot going 25 miles an hour that's going to run over and hurt you. Really? I want to be Ray, to build robots like that could hurt somebody but not. And maybe one of these days.
I was
going
going
to,
to,
but
you guys
I
put a
was thinking
65-pound limit.
Hoist. It's too heavy.
I need to be about 120 pounds.
Okay, now I want to be Pat. See, I'm just, come on. And they're like, the person was like that robot, the battle bots and that kind of stuff. I said, no, we don't build remote control killing machines. We actually build robots in this club. So there you go. So we try to make them. Anyway, I'll shut up.
No worries. No worries.
Carl, I'll probably have two robots, one that should be successful and one that should be a lot of fun to watch.
One amusing and one ringer, huh?
Yeah.
Any hint as to why one will be amusing?
It's probably the one that's going in the water.
Yeah, I hope not. No, it's nowhere near ready. I mean, there was just way too many problems with it. And Harold, because I was playing with Ross for a long time and never could get it to hook up to maybe add sensors and get messages. So I'd be interested, Harold, to listen to some of your successes and what I did wrong, I guess. But it's still got, so basically several weeks ago, I decided I'd just convert it over to Burp's technology, and that didn't really work out so well either. So it's kind of a bastard child right now, and may or may not actually run. We'll see. How far, Doug, how far do you have to go to actually be considered a run?
You'd have to look at the rules. I want to say it's a foot.
Yeah. So anyway.
That's cool.
But, I've been running Burp in my backyard, and I pity the fool that tries to beat it. I'll just start the smack talk now.
Gauntlet is thrown down. Okay, did you do anything new to it this year versus prior times?
No, not really. I mean, it's been sitting in the closet for a year and a half, 2 years. And I got it out and it didn't work so good. So, I was thinking, I don't remember what I was modifying or what I was doing when I stuck it in the closet. So, but it's pretty well dialed in now. I'd be interested in some different vision technology like Ted was talking about earlier. I didn't get a chance to hear what he was actually using for a sensor because I'm just using one of the Pixie cams, and it really struggles in different light conditions when you go from a shady spot to the sunny spot, because the color hues change to it so badly.
Scott,
Yeah.
on that one, I had an idea, and I know you'd probably be better at getting it actually implemented than I do. But what I was thinking, if I had time, and I don't know if I will, to essentially use the brightness control. You have control of the brightness.
Yeah, I
And
actually
I
already
just
do
hunt,
that.
yeah, and just hunt for the largest. So before you start, just look at the home cone and just try to maximize the best brightness to use to get the largest blob.
Yeah, I actually have a photo cell that I put on, I think before the last contest, and it's actually like in a tube, so it kind of recognizes direct sunlight or shade.
Yeah.
And I actually actively set the brightness of the camera based on that photo input, and that seems to help quite a bit. But I think the Pixie Cam just has kind of a very poor contrast to start with. I've got a Pixie 2 I've been playing with, and it seems to have a much higher definition picture. I haven't really tried it in the sun. I may try kludging that on to Burp.
Well, I actually purchased the new Pixie 2.1. the new Pixie 2.1.
I think this is just the 2.
Yeah.
2.0, I think it is.
The way you tell the difference is if it's got a, a 12 millimeter
Yeah,
mount
no,
on
see,
it.
I have one of the original ones then.
Yeah, so
with
it's got the white thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
the white camera.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the software interface is completely different between Pixie and the 2 Pixies, the original one and the Pixie 2. Because the Pixie 1, it'll just puke out data to you without asking. And from what I've read about the Pixie 2, you have to query it. You have to poke it and say, give me a reading, give me a reading, give me a reading.
Okay.
So.
Well, we'll see. Like I say, I have Pixie 1s and Pixie 2s. I'll see which one whichever one is the fastest to get working is the one that's going to go on.
Yeah.
So,
well, I have this one working.
Yeah, I know you did.
As well as it works anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, you never had any problem with it. I mean, you always found the code.
Generally I have a pattern, I have a search pattern, and a lot of times if I get to the sunny side of the cone versus the shady side, or vice versa, depending on the light and how it's calibrated, I usually pick it up on the back end.
That's a good idea.
But it'd be nice to have something that's more reliable and because you're always playing with the calibration and learning a cone in different light conditions, and then
well, I'm not promising anything, but one of the things I want to try is there's something equivalent to a Pixie or object tracking called a Husky lens, and I'm hoping to so maybe get a second opinion. Otherwise the other one says if you got a blob, go for it, but if you don't see a blob, do you see a cone? And say that. And anyway, here's my lens for the I think I told this is the lens for it's a circular polarized to go to try to get some of the contrast out. A little 3D printed part on it. We'll see. I don't know if it'll help, but that's the plan.
Yeah, I put an IR filter on this Pixie as well a couple of years ago, because I have it's a 14 millimeter camera adapter that I kludged onto it.
Yeah.
And I found that it didn't really make a difference when you were changing light conditions. If you could tune it to say, okay, in a really bright light, I can see a cone. But then when you get into a little bit of shade, you couldn't see the cone for anything. So I found that the filter, even the polarized filter, just basically reduced the lighting levels, where you were tuning it at. So I ended up taking it back off.
Yeah, the real problem is when you can totally saturate the camera sensor and all you see is white, and there's no, I haven't really figured out a solution for that. And it's just white. It's like right here.
Hey, Scott, I think you asked earlier what Ted was using, and so both Ted and then Raj and I, and then Ray has one as well. We all have the open.
Pat too, I believe.
Oh, Pat too, right? Pat has the OpenMV Cam H7.
No, I'm using OpenCV on a Raspberry Pi.
Okay.
Yeah, Pat's not okay.
And that was one of my questions. So I've been using a Raspberry Pi camera with some software. I have an OpenMV. I was one of the original backers on the M4.
Oh, nice.
I've never put it to use to try to do stuff. It was always a little bit slow and limited as to what you can do. So looking at going forward for a next project is, what would be a good camera to go with? Should I go with like an H7, OpenMV H7, or a Pixie Cam, or a Husky lens? Or that's where I'm sort of looking at which way to go.
Husky lens and Pixie Cams are shortcuts or potential shortcuts. You will not really learn anything from them. PixieCam is a pretty good blob detector. That's what it does. It's a blob detector.
Yeah.
And Huska lens is a pretty average AI type, on the edge type object identifier. So you can do better on probably. Well, I gotta admit, the PixieCam, if you plan to just do blob detection, you might as well do a PixieCam. Okay, because unless you do something fairly exotic, you're probably not going to be any better than the PixieCam. On the Huffy lens, I think you could probably do better, with a Pi or some of the other, NVIDIA board or the cameras that these guys, the OpenMV, or like I say, the max bit. That's
the other one I was looking at, is an ESP cam or a max bit.
Yeah, max bit. I don't know if I can't. Oh, there it is. This is at one time this was the cheapest. It was only like $30.
Right.
Yeah, but you have to wait for it to come from China, so it may not at this point be a viable option.
No, I'm not changing plans for a contest. That's for sure. I'm just looking at a next project.
Mm-hmm.
But Pat, what'll be interesting is that there's going to be at least two different OpenMV H7 pluses at the same event in August. So with any chance and a little pre-planning, we might be able to put them side by each and compare. Even with the same sensor, what might you do with different algorithms on the same cone and the same lighting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's the difference in lighting, because I know I'm running OpenCV, and yeah, my routine isn't that complex, but I'm still having issues. Although for the best part, in sunlight or in shade, I'm still managing to detect the cone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's another thing that caught my eye early on, because Ted mentioned earlier in this call that he had discovered the lab color space, and he found that it was relatively insensitive to ambient light.
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with the labs, the lab color space, and I don't know if he was talking about the OpenMV series or.
Well, he was using the lab color space on the OpenMV cam. I was looking at a little quick Google search here, and I think it's a standard color space. You can use it with OpenCV.
Okay.
So I think it's just a different color space that's well known, but it might have properties that are well suited to, define a color, and then a color per se, and then in bright light or dark light of similar temperature, it still recognizes it as the same color.
Okay.
HSV is pretty similar.
Yeah, HSV is giving me a little bit of trouble in darker areas. And even on a cone, trying to get one color or several colors, a range of colors, it still gives me trouble. I'm into the reds or the browns.
Yeah, there are about 100, believe it or not, 100 different formats for video, and the Raspberry Pi supports a bunch of them. I was amazed. You can actually do. I forget how to do it now, but there's a way to get a listing of all the supported modes, like HSV, RGB, YUV, you name it, all the, and then the different lengths of bit representations for each of those. It's amazing that there's that many out there, and the Raspberry Pi supports a lot of them. So.
Yeah, I'm just looking up the different color spaces available in OpenCV, and Lab is definitely in there. And when they're showing a picture of Rubik's Cube with a green square, and it looks like the Lab is actually picking it up a little better than the HSV is.
Yeah. I guess the other thing about the OpenMV H7, it's OpenCV like. There's, it's not, it doesn't follow the, the statements in OpenCV, but there are things in there that are very similar that he's done to make it work with that high-end SD processor that is on that board.
Yeah.
So for quick things you want to just try out, I'd say it's very good for that. And it's very easy to separate. Like you can send things to a serial port, a SPI port, a UART, just the things that you want, say like an X value for steering of, the center of a blob or something. So you can let it do kind of all the complex stuff, image processing, and then extract just what you need out of it to send it to, you could send it to an Uno. It's that.
Yeah, I'm doing that even with my OpenCV. I've got a find coned routine. And what it does is it looks for a cone. If it doesn't find a cone, it outputs as a flag as 0.
Yep.
So then it's just outputting 0 for a rotate velocity and a angular command. So it'll say, hey, I'm not active. Don't bother listening to me. And I've got a flag that I turn the routine on. So I don't want it interfering as I'm driving along and we catch something and I'm nowhere near a cone.
Right.
I'm not within, let's say, 30 feet of the cone, 30 or 40 feet. So as I get close to the target, I enable the routine. So once it finds it, it superimposes the navigate routine and takes it right to the cone.
Yep. So I'd say that's very versatile. The MaxPy stuff I'd say it's got probably as much versatility, but it doesn't have anywhere near the examples that the OpenMV H7 has. And the documentation is
it turns out though you can use a lot of the same examples, but it also has, I think, a little stronger AI capabilities.
Yeah.
That means you got to learn to dig into it and get those AI capabilities. They're not, they don't just open up to you when you turn it on, but the chip has those built in, so it has the possibility of doing those things.
Yeah.
So,
That's the OpenMV H7 you're talking about?
No, this is the maxi bit. If you look at the IDE of the maxi bit and OpenMV, they're the same.
Yeah.
They obviously just cloned it.
They cloned, exactly.
But the other one is done somewhere in the West, so documentation is better, easier to understand. The other one's done in China, and so it's a little more, just what did they say there? But it depends. If you're not trying for the contest, if you're just talking about in the future, I think it's open to which one you want to go for. For a little bit more money, you get the OpenMV, and there seems to be a lot of people in the club that are going that way. So you might be able to get some in the club consensus, and that's probably so. I think the difference is like $30, $40 versus $100. So in the big scheme of things, $60 is really not that much if you can get it to work faster. I just a thought. So.
Yeah, I know Quavino, the guy that produces the OpenMV H7. He was saying that there might be a shortage of. In other words, you might not be able to get the OpenMV H7 Plus for a while.
For a long time, you couldn't get the maxi bit.
Oh, really?
Literally, the only place you could get it was from China because everybody else just didn't have any.
Yeah.
Well, the stock is low. It's if you do a search, it's hard to find the H7 Plus right now. I managed to get one in a shield just as the inventory was emptying everywhere.
I'm just on a website here in Canada, and I see the OpenMV Cam H7 Plus is $110 Canadian, and the just the H7 regular is $90 Canadian.
Yep.
So,
and the H7 Plus does have AI capability. It's if you were going to get one, I would get that one. It's the later and greater one, and the price isn't that much different, and you get a lot more capability. So
Yeah, I'm not sure what the price is in the US.
It's $85 for the H7 Plus.
yeah.
Then that's not bad at all for Canada for $110.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll probably
Carl-
be another $11 shipping or something in Canada, within Canada, which is not bad.
Hey, Carl, are they in stock?
Well, they're hard to find.
There was 15 pluses in stock in Canada.
That's pretty good. Jump on it.
Canadian Private Reserve H7 pluses.
I might have to go back to work.
That's that habit. That's the trouble. Got to pay for it somehow. Okay. All right, cool. Any other topics come to mind?
Okay, so the number of participants, are we just going to email?
I think, Doug, you're gonna send a thing out, are you, or shall I, or how do we want to do that? To get
Okay, I think the first thing we need to send out is a call for participants and
contestants and observers. I mean, we need to count. We need to count to both contestants and observers. So
yeah, and we'll see that and get that piece. Maybe give that because we are running out of time. I didn't think about it, but probably give them a week to respond.
Yeah.
And then it'll be the 10th. So and we'll imagine that a few people will not come and a few people will come. So that's probably a reasonable number. Contestants wise, we want to get everybody locked in as quick as we can. Even if all you have to do is bring your robot and say, this is all I could get. It still doesn't run, but here's what it looks like. Do that. Okay.
Bricks are welcome. Huh?
Yeah, bricks are welcome.
But I guess so, Doug, are you gonna send that out or shall I? Doug P. And you're muted, Doug P.
That was a clever
Sorry?
scheme.
It wasn't me.
No.
Doug D, what do you need?
I'm saying, why don't you do it, Carl?
I'll do it.
And
Okay.
if you just send out, say, please give if you're a contestant, say you're a contestant, if you're going to be an observer, how many people are you going to bring? And if you're a contestant, you're going to bring somebody with you, which I encourage. Do that. And hopefully people on the list that will probably should make a special post to do. Carl.
Yeah, I'll do a Google form and
yeah, I'm thinking that we might want to, but what I'm trying to get at is we might want to put a website post saying, so
yeah, you can do a website post, and then we'll do a meetup announcement as well, because we have, I haven't checked lately, but enough traffic there as well.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's people who are interested, but they're not gonna run. They're not interested as a contestant.
Yeah. Yep.
And Ted, I don't know if he's still there. Is he still there?
He left a while ago.
Okay, all right. I need to get his email. So
I can get it to you. I have it.
You do? Okay, send me Ted's email.
Hey, Doug.
Okay.
Doug Dogen, do you have an issue with your camera? It's every so often it'll like lose synchronization on the bottom half. I don't know if anybody else sees that. Hopefully you do. Well, not to say that you have a bad camera, but it looks
I've
like
noticed it.
your video tears.
I noticed that mine gives a little squiggle every once in a while built into my monitor here.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not going out.
Okay. Well, okay, good. Well, if there's nothing else then.
So I've been looking at voice recognition lately, And I don't know if anybody else has played with any of that. I don't have a real good decision on offline voice recognition. Every time I think I find something, oh, that one's been disconnected because somebody bought it out or something. So I'm thinking I might try Sopare, but I don't know. I want it to be offline because I don't want to have my robot have to be on the Wi-Fi.
Mhm.
Anybody tried anything? I'll keep you posted then.
But one thing you might consider, if you can get one, I don't know if Intel used to have something called a DIY voice kit, and it didn't go over as big as they thought, and they had a gazillion of them extra, and they were selling them for real cheap. Now,
You mean Google? You mean Google, right?
Google is,
Google
yeah, Google.
DIY.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you might do a web search for a DIY Google voice kit. And I mean, I know Micro Center had, buttload of them, and they were selling them for $5 a piece. And the parts in them were worth way more than $5. So, but they might look at it and see if that might be something like you're looking at.
Thanks.
Okay.
I think all of them have issues with, 4 fundamental things: stop, go, yes, and no. Those all seem to get confused.
Yeah, short words are hard for them to figure out. It helps to have something a little longer so they can work on it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
By the way, I know y'all are all interested in knowing the cookies were good. My PT came through for me.
Your PT person rocks. Fantastic.
Okay.
Okay. Any other calls? All right, guys. Well, let's call this a great meeting then, and bid you good evening, good day, and we'll catch you next time.
Hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista.